Hello everyone. Again, we have the chapter Transpiration here today. The whole chapter in one shot, as I promised. I'll be making one chapter each in every video. We are done with absorption and today is transpiration. So we'll complete the whole chapter in one shot. I'll also add in the list, in the description, I'll add the the chapters also. That means the breaks in which wherever the other topic is. So if you want to do a specific topic, you can click on that chapter and then you can watch that specific chapter. So the chapter is transpiration. Before we start the video, please like, share, comment and subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed. Please share it with your seniors, juniors. For seniors also, NEET NEET is easy now chapter is there where I am uploading videos for grade 11th and 12th biology. A normal bio student, if not even appearing for NEET, can follow that chapter. It has a clear, easy description of the chapters of biology. So now, before everyone loses patience, let's start. Now, the chapter is transpiration. First of all, what is transpiration? How do we define transpiration? Now, transpiration is the process of loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant. Now, when I use the term aerial parts of the plant, I am specifying the plants parts of the plant which are above the soil. So, the soil above the soil surface, what all is there is the upper part or aerial part of the plant. So whatever loss of water takes place from the aerial parts, aerial means the upward parts of the plant, through stomata is known as transpiration. Now you can add one more thing here, in the form of water vapors. Water vapors, fine, because this evaporation, this loss, it takes place in the form of water vapors only, fine. So transpiration is the loss, I am again repeating, loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant through stomata in the form of water vapors. The instrument which is used to measure the rate of water intake by the plant and also gives the rate of transpiration which has taken place is known as photometer. A very important name the following or fill up, wherein they ask you the instrument which is responsible for calculating or giving a measure of the water intake and also water loss by transpiration is a photometer. The most commonly used photometer is Genongs photometer. Darwin's photometer is also there, but yes, it's not that effective. Genongs also is not very much effective, but yes, generally this Genongs photometer is used. We do this experiment in grade 12th also. So Darwin's photometer, it's not there in your syllabus, but yes, its explanation is there. We'll stick to Genongs photometer in the video. So herein this diagram, it just gives a gist of transpiration. What happens? Roots, they are absorbing water and then water is drawn up into the stem towards the leaves. Now the leaves, when it reaches, the leaves, the water tends to move out due to the sunlight or the heat which is there outside. We'll be talking about the various factors in the video again later. But yes, heat is the main factor which leads to transpiration. So the water is lost from the leaves. This is the excessive water which is lost. Now, the next is Genongs photometer. Now, when I use the term Genongs photometer, beta the paper pattern has changed. Abhi jo aapka latest paper pattern hai, that is different as compared to the paper pattern which was followed before 2020. 2020 mein it was altogether different. Then set A, set B ho gaya, and then ek saal hua hi nahi paper, and then the paper pattern totally changed in the previous paper, and then the latest sample paper which we received has also a different paper pattern. So they have changed the pattern. So there is a change in the pattern, there is a change how they are asking questions. So what all questions I've seen, abhi to Genongs photometer was not asked, but earlier it was a very important question for ICSE board paper. This question came as a diagrammatic question, banane ke liye nahi aata hai. They give you the diagram and they ask you multiple questions out of it. So if it was not there in the previous two papers, so we are expecting कि आगे आ सकता है. So कोई भी ऐसा question, कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है, the ones which have already been given in the sample paper और जो changed pattern है उसके अंदर वही आएंगे questions. जो questions बच गए हैं वो लोग आगे वो वाले questions भी दे सकते हैं. So we will talk about Genongs photometer in detail. Acha, because I have talked about this paper pattern, I'll be making a video about the paper. First of all, I'll be making a video for sample paper of 2024, which is lately uploaded. वो सारा explain करके, and then I'll talk about the paper pattern, the changes, the questions which you need to focus on, types of questions which you need to focus on. और फिर धीरे धीरे हम हर तरह के questions को we will take in every video. So please, if you have friends who have not subscribed, if you have people who are in ICSE but are not following the channel, please tell them that everything latest will be done on the channel and regularly. Okay, so let's move to Genongs Photometer. Genongs Photometer is most commonly used photometer. Now, herein I have added this line that various points which are given here are to be learnt because they come as different questions. Now, the first one is that as you see this diagram, what do we have here? There is a tube and there is a plant which is inserted here. इस tube में there is water and then there is a scale, और जो beaker है it has colored water, generally pink water लेते हैं उसमें KMNO3 dissolve करके, and then there is a reservoir is there, and they specifically are talking about an air bubble here. Fine. So it plays a very important role, this air bubble. It segregates or separates the plain water from colored water, and hence the movement of the air bubble will tell us कि कितना transpiration हो गया है. Fine. So the first point, twig is used in the experiment should be obliquely cut. Obliquely cut matlab, if this is the twig, it should be cut in an oblique fashion. ऐसे टेढ़ा cut करना चाहिए so that the xylem is clearly exposed and the water can easily be taken inside. Then it also ensures that the air bubble. Now herein, the air bubble which is there inside the tube, it has to be inserted. कैसे करते हैं? Genongs photometer जो है, it's not a big, इतना सा apparatus होता है, और जब उसको when we put water in it, तो air bubble is introduced, as in हम पूरा उसको पानी से fill करते हैं ट्यूब को, देखते हैं उसके अंदर कोई air bubble ना हो, और फिर धीरे से ट्यूब के एक साइड से थम हटा के air bubble को introduce करते हैं जानबूझ के, and then the movement of the air bubble helps us identify how much transpiration has taken place. So ये step of introduction of air bubble is the most tedious step when we talk about the Genongs photometer का setup. Now the next is that the reservoir. Why is this reservoir here? कि हमें बार बार apparatus को change नहीं करना पड़े, हिलाना नहीं पड़े. अगर पानी जैसे transpire होता जाएगा तो यहाँ पानी कम हो जाता है. तो ये जो knob है इसको घुमा के we can add water from the reservoir into the photometer. So we don't need to change the apparatus or disturb the apparatus again and again. There is a scale also which gives us a reading कि कितना, अब air bubble it moves in this tube, so it gives us a reading कि कितना air bubble has moved in the tube. Otherwise हमारे पास कोई reading लेने के नहीं, so there is a scale attached. Then the air bubble is introduced gradually into the capillary tube and it separates colored water from plain water. Also helps in marking the point to take a reading. जहाँ पे air bubble होगा वो वाली reading हम लेंगे. Then colored water. Why colored water is taken in the beaker? Just to demarcate between plain water and colored water, और जितना colored water ऊपर जाएगा that will give us a reading that okay fine, this much plain water has been evaporated out. Now how the questions are asked from it, जैसे first question can be how do you cut the twig for maximum absorption of water, then what is the purpose of a reservoir, why is a scale placed, why is the air bubble introduced, or why colored water is taken in the beaker. So these are the questions. So these points become very important. Then limitations of the photometer. It is a separate 2-mark question when they ask you what are the limitations of a photometer. Introduction of air bubble is not easy at all, of course. That is the most tedious process. The twig may not remain alive for a long period of time. जो भी twig हमने लिया है बहुत देर तक जरूरी नहीं है कि वो twig जो है alive रहे. So the experiment may stop. Any changes on outside temperature, very very important. Any change which is there in the outside temperature or air pressure, उससे जो है readings change हो जाते हैं. अगर बाहर बहुत ज़्यादा धूप है तो transpiration will be faster. बाहर कम धूप है transpiration will be less. बाहर it's a rainy day, transpiration is less. So the outside environment leads to a lot of changes in the readings which are being taken. So these are the limitations. Next is types of transpiration. What are the different types of transpiration? A very important question. इकट्ठा कोई आपको नहीं पूछेगा. Write down the different types of transpiration. They will give you separate questions. They will give you separate. It can be given in fill-ups, match the following, अलग-अलग तरह से. But yes, of course, the topic is very important. There are 3 different regions in plants from where the transpiration occurs: stomata, cuticle and lenticel. I think I have added a picture also. Yes, let's see the picture first. Here it's stomata. Everyone knows what is a stomata. These openings which are present mostly on the lower surface, or they are present on upper and lower both, but maximum stomata are present on the lower surface of the leaf. Cuticular transpiration. What is cuticle? जो leaf है, ये जो shiny substance is present over the leaf, that is a cuticle. It is a very shiny thin layer present over the leaf. When the transpiration takes place passing through the cuticle, we call it cuticular transpiration. Lenticular transpiration. What are lenticels? ये एक अलग से question है. What are lenticels? Where are they present? Lenticels are openings which are permanently open. Stomata जो है, they close during night and they open during day. Fine. But the lenticels, they are always open, and where are they present? They are present on woody stems. And if they are permanently open, that means they are permanently transpiring. But the amount of transpiration which takes place from lenticels is very low. So the point of keeping these pictures were just to make you understand how they look. Let's move to it. Stomatal transpiration, when the water movement or loss takes place from the openings known as stomata, we call it stomatal. Cuticular. Before we start cuticular transpiration, very important, what is cuticle? It's a very important question also. Cuticle is a waxy layer which is secreted by the epidermis. Epidermis is the uppermost layer of the leaf, which is present all over the leaf. The thickness of the cuticle depend on the habitat. Like the plants which are there in desert areas, they have a thick cuticle ताकि ज़्यादा transpiration नहीं हो. Whereas the plants which are there on the places where there is maximum rainfall, there the cuticle is thin. So it is the structure through which the water is lost during transpiration, hence it's considered as one of the types. In some desert plants, cuticle is responsible to check or reduce the rate of transpiration. That is why the desert plants, they live in a condition which is scarce of water. मतलब वो वहाँ रहते हैं जहाँ पे ज़्यादा पानी नहीं है, and hence because of the lack of water, they need to preserve water, जितना भी पानी उनको मिल जाए. So what do? They have this thick cuticle over it so that less of transpiration take place, because sun तो बहुत ज़्यादा है वहाँ पे, heat बहुत ज़्यादा है. So they have this thick cuticle. Then is lenticular transpiration. What are lenticels? First of all, they are present on the old woody stems. These openings or structures, they allow diffusion of gases also for respiration, and as they are always open, they lead to some amount of transpiration also. So, but the amount of transpiration is very less from the lenticels. So, how many type of transpirations are there? There are 3 types of transpiration: stomatal, cuticular, lenticular transpiration. Stomatal through stomata, cuticular through cuticle, and lenticular through the permanent openings known as lenticels. Moving to the next topic, that is mechanism of stomatal transpiration. A very important topic. बोल रहे होगे मैम सब important बोल रहे हैं, because मैंने इन videos में वही topics cover किए हैं which are important for your paper. Whatever is there apart from this, yes, of course you can't skip it, but yes, they are not that important. Fine. So let's move to stomatal transpiration. I think I have a picture for this also. Yes. This picture, bache, is an important diagram. It's from your book only. If you see your book, it's, I think, figure, let me tell you, it's figure 5.7 in Selena, but yes, it's an old book. नई books में figure number change हो गया होगा. But this picture is very important. ये diagram कई बार बना हुआ आता है. It comes as a diagrammatic question and then they ask you questions. सबसे पहला question होता है, sequence बताओ through where the water comes out. So how the movement of the water takes place. So that sequence is very, very important. It can come in arrange the following also, where they'll ask you the sequence. जैसे root वाला last chapter में हमने root वाला question किया था, that absorption of water, then how the water moves and moves out by transpiration, वो वाला process. Herein, how the water is coming out from the different cells for transpiration. So stomatal transpiration ka mechanism is this. This is the picture. I have taken this picture because it's important. Mechanism of stomatal transpiration. Or stomata, we all know, are openings and all. What happens during the day? They are open and the intake of carbon dioxide is also taking place, and they close during night. During stomatal transpiration, water evaporates through stomata. Water absorbed by the roots reaches the different tissues and leaves. A large number of mesophyll. Okay, I'll just talk or I'll just explain with the help of picture. Now what happens here? Herein you see these lumbar cells, these elongated cells are the mesophyll cells, fine. So the mesophyll cells, they have water in it as the plant has absorbed in water. So passing through the intercellular spaces and then coming through the xylem vessels, the water ends in this substomatal space where it is stored for a while herein. और इस substomatal space, this is stoma, this is the opening of stomata. This substomatal space is the area wherein all the water what has to be expired, it transpired out, it comes, and then using, important point, using the heat of the plant, this water is converted into vapor and then these vapors move out of the leaf. Very important. कई बच्चे पूछते हैं मैम how the water is converted into vapors. The heat of the plant converts the water into water vapors and this also leads to a cooling effect. That is the side effect of transpiration जो plants को cooling provide करता है. So how this water is converted into vapors? The body heat of the plant, it converts that water in the substomatal phase place into vapors which and then it moves out from the plant. So stomatal transpiration is the topic. पूरा कोई नहीं पूछेगा बेटा that पूरा stomatal transpiration explain करो. Yes, you must know the passage. So the movement is through the intercellular spaces, then the xylem vessels, and then substomatal space, and finally moves out through stomata. Next, we have the factors which affect transpiration. Okay, so these are the various factors which are affecting transpiration in one way or the other. अब कैसे effect होगा? Either the transpiration will be high or the transpiration will be low. Fine. First of all, let's explain all one by one. Intensity of light, मतलब light कितनी है बाहर? If the intensity of light outside is more, transpiration is more. Fine, because light ज़्यादा है, so ज़्यादा evaporation हो रहा है. Temperature, if temperature outside is more, transpiration is more. Temperature is high, transpiration is high. Velocity of wind, if the velocity of wind is more, transpiration is more. Why? How? इसका एक छोटा सा example है. when your mom washes clothes and you put the clothes outside to dry, what happens? अगर बहुत ज़्यादा हवा चल रही है बहुत जल्दी कपड़े सूख जाते हैं, evaporation ज़्यादा है. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा temperature है, sun बहुत ज़्यादा है, बहुत जल्दी कपड़े सूख जाते हैं because temperature ज़्यादा है. अगर रात को कपड़े डालोगे एक तो बहुत लेट ड्राई होंगे, अगर दिन में कपड़े डालोगे तो बहुत जल्दी ड्राई हो जाए. तो three of them they explain that how temperature how these factors they are directly proportional to the amount of transpiration taking place. Intensity is more, transpiration is more, temperature is more, transpiration is more, velocity of wind is more, transpiration is more. Next is humidity. If humidity is more, transpiration is less. Here it is inversely proportional. Why? Because bahar pehle se hi bahut zyada pani hai. Fine, and then the plants are also giving out water. So that moisture does not come out. That water vapor, there is the holding capacity. Like for example, if you fill a glass of water, पूरा ऊपर तक भरा है, उसमें और पानी डालोगे तो बाहर गिरेगा पानी. Fine. So humidity मतलब moisture in the air. So if moisture is already there in the air, तो और moisture नहीं जाएगा. So humidity is more, transpiration is less. Carbon dioxide is more, transpiration is less. Atmospheric pressure is more, transpiration becomes less. Agar atmospheric pressure is less, transpiration is high. Fine. So let's just see once if I am going correct. Yes, fine. So when the atmospheric pressure increases, the rate of transpiration it increases. The rate of transpiration it increases with the increase in atmospheric pressure, decreases with the decrease. Water content in the leaf. If the water content in the leaf is more, transpiration is more, because jitna pani zyada hoga utna hi pani will go out. So these are all the factors which affect the rate of transpiration. You must know which all are directly proportional to transpiration, which all are inversely proportional to transpiration. Then we have adaptations to reduce excessive transpiration. Why? First of all, why is this done? Because there are certain plants which cannot afford to lose water. कुछ ऐसे plants भी होते हैं जो बहुत ज़्यादा पानी lose नहीं कर सकते. Maybe due to the place where they are in, or maybe due to multiple reasons. तो उन प्लांट्स में देर आर सर्टन अडेप्टेशंस, वो कुछ ना कुछ तरह से मॉडिफाइड होते हैं so that the amount of water loss is less. So let's talk about these adaptations. Adaptations include one, sunken stomata. Now when I say sunken stomata, it is very important to learn that the plant in which sunken stomata are present is Nerium. What is sunken stomata? जो स्टोमेटा होते हैं वो लीफ में ऊपर सरफेस पे नहीं होते, थोड़े अंदर की तरफ एम्बेड करे होते हैं. सो ट्रांसपिरेशन का रेट इज नॉट दैट फास्ट इन दीज प्लांट्स. Then fewer stomata, number of stomata can be reduced. So जैसे desert plants and all, there the number of stomata are less, so that less amount of transpiration takes place. Narrow leaves. Narrow leaves is like, for example, if suppose we have this leaf and if suppose we have this leaf. कहाँ पे एक्सपोज सरफेस ज़्यादा है? यहाँ पे. सो ट्रांसपिरेशन यहाँ ज़्यादा होगी. कहाँ एक्सपोज सरफेस लेस है? यहाँ पे. सो ट्रांसपिरेशन विल बी लेस. सो थिन लीव्स और नैरो लीव्स, दे help in reducing the rate of transpiration. Example is Nerium and palm trees. Loss of leaves, बहुत कम leaves होना उन plants में जहाँ पे the rate of transpiration has to be low, there the number of leaves are less. So number of leaves are less, so less amount of transpiration, because जितना leaves कम उतना ही transpiration, stomata कम उतना ही transpiration कम. And then is thick cuticle, which we have already discussed, that the leaves, they have a very thick layer of cuticle so that the water cannot be transpired out more frequently or quickly. So plants like banyan and the plant like cactus and all, cactus mein to the leaves are modified to spines also. This is also one of the adaptations. So they help in reducing the loss of excessive loss of water due to excessive transpiration. Now is significance of transpiration. Adaptations we've done, factors affecting we've done, significance of transpiration. मतलब transpiration होता है तो उसका फायदा क्या है plants को? कुछ भी process हो रहा है, there should be one or the other significance or importance, no? So yes, what is the significance? It provides a cooling effect. It gives a suction pull. I'll explain one by one. Distribution of water and minerals and salts, and elimination of excess of water. First of all, cooling effect. We've already discussed it. How cooling effect? The plant utilizes the heat of the plant to convert water into water vapors, and hence a cooling effect. जब heat use हो जाएगी to convert water into water vapors, of course it gives a cooling effect. Just like if you're sweating and sitting under fan, what happens? Fan से, air से, the sweat keeps evaporating, hence you get a cooling. Same phenomena happens in the plants also. Then is suction force. Now what happens? If you remember the first diagram or the picture which we had in the video, that had the roots absorbing water, water going up in the stem, and then leaves they giving out water. Now एक side से पानी जा रहा है and the दूसरी side is coming out. That is creating a pull, a suction pull, just like a straw. If you have a straw and you are taking in any fluid, what is happening? You are taking in that fluid and then there is a pull created in the straw which helps it to absorb more water. Same happens here. So transpiration creates a suction pull which helps the plants to absorb more of water. Distribution of water and minerals. Now the plants, they do not have a circulatory system. They don't have heart, artery, vein नहीं होता है. So how does the distribution of substances take place? It takes place through water. और water जो है जब तक transpiration suction pull नहीं create करेगा, the water will not go to all parts of the plant. Hence this transpiration also indirectly helps in distribution of water and minerals through water. Elimination of excessive water. What all excessive water is there in the plant that cannot stay in the plant? Fine, not good for the plant. So that has to be eliminated out from the body. So that is eliminated out as excretory waste from the plant by the process of transpiration. So this is the significance of transpiration taking place. Now we have experiments like 1, 2, 3. We have 3 experiments here, starting from the first one. Now, first experiment, a very easy one. Achha, again, before we do the experiments, as I tell you, whenever we do experiments, in whichever chapter we do, they do not ask you to write the experiment. Either they'll give you the picture and then ask you different questions, or they will give you a statement, a passage, and then they will ask you different questions. So the first experiment here in transpiration is this one. 2 bell jars are taken. अब आपके बुक में कई बुक्स में क्या है, that there is a potted plant, sorry, थोड़ा pot ऐसे ही बन गया, and then there are leaves, and then it is covered with a poly bag. Fine, it's one and the same. अगर ऐसा है ऐसा ले सकते हैं, एंड देन दूसरा वाला के अंदर वी विल टेक a plant without leaves or just a stick, a woody stem. Fine. So what happens here, you see that on this polybag there are water droplets present. On this polybag there is no water droplet present. So the experiment says, first of all, the aim is to prove that plants, they transpire through the aerial parts of the plant. Why aerial parts of the plant? Because other parts are all underneath the soil. Fine. Now why is it covered with polybag? Because when the plants, they give out water in the form of vapors, these vapors, they touch the cold surface of the polybag. As and when the vapors touch the cold surface of the polybag, they condense, and they condense to convert into water vapors, which show water droplets, sorry, which show that the plant has evaporated or has given out water by the process of transpiration, and the water comes out in the form of water vapors. So this is an experiment to prove this. Why is this other, like suppose this is pot A and this is pot B, why pot A is taken? Just as a control to show that if the leaves are not present, there is no transpiration taking place. If the plant is not present, there is no transpiration. So it takes place, the bubbles, those, sorry, the water droplets which are forming, they are only forming when the plant is there and transpiring. Now, next experiment which we have is this, again a simple one, but I took this experiment because in previous video also we had the same experiment. Difference क्या है? देखो बहुत close setups हैं ये. I'll make the other setup which we had in our previous video. Now herein, in this plant, roots are present. अगर आपको एक test tube वाला experiment it comes in the paper. So first thing which you see is whether the roots are present or the roots are absent. In this you can't see any roots. So if the roots are present, the aim of the experiment is to study absorption of water by roots. And if the roots are absent, the aim is transpiration. Very important. बहुत confusing question है, but you need to take care that if the roots are present or absent. If they are absent, it is transpiration. If they are present, it's absorption by the roots. So same, बाकी सब concept remains the same. Herein also, the process of absorption is taking place, and then the leaves are giving out water. So what will happen? The level of water in the test tube will fall down. Why is oil present? So that all the water is shown is just due to transpiration. There is no evaporation other than transpiration taking place. So बाकी सब कुछ remains the same. But the only thing is that the aim of experiment will be different. Our next experiment is this experiment where we are using a cobalt chloride paper just to confirm that where the number of, on which side of the leaf number of stomata are more, on the lower or the upper surface. इसको हम normal experiment के लिए भी we can use. The experiment which you have in your book also, where bell jars are placed and then cobalt chloride paper is there, and वो अपने आप ही the color changes from blue to pink. So paper remains blue on the upper surface of the leaf, and paper turns pink on the lower surface of the leaf. Sorry, this is the upper surface of the leaf and this is the lower surface of the leaf. We know that the number of stomata on the lower surface of the leaf are more, and on the upper surface stomata are less. तो क्या होता है? Cobalt chloride paper, it has a tendency to turn pink on absorbing moisture. When it absorbs moisture, it turns pink. तो ऊपर वाले सरफेस पे जो कोबाल्ट क्लोराइड पेपर रखा है, इट्स स्टिल ब्लू because the amount of transpiration taking place is less, but lower surface it turns pink more quickly because the amount of stomata on the lower surface are more. So this experiment, it proves that the number of stomata on the lower surface are more as compared to the number of stomata on the upper surface. So upper and lower surface are identified. It can be given as a single leaf also, where they will ask you, तो aim change हो जाएगा, to study that leaves, that the transpiration takes place through leaves, just this. So what will happen? The cobalt chloride paper, which is blue, will turn pink in a while. But when we have two leaves, on upper and lower surface cobalt chloride is placed, so aim of experiment changes to prove that more number of stomata are present on the lower surface of the leaf. So just the aim changes, otherwise the result remains the same. So this is it. This is all about our chapter transpiration. We've covered all the topics which are there in the chapter, important ones. I've explained you everything in one shot as requested by you people. Next video which we'll be making is for photosynthesis, where I'll cover photosynthesis in one shot. Again, beach mein I'll be uploading the videos for paper patterns also. Fine. So keep watching, liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you.